This is Team Fortress 2, which has been one of my favorite games for the past 11 years. Team Fortress 2 has changed a lot since then, adding many new cosmetic items, weapons, and even maps. One thing you can't take away from TF2, however, is that it has maintained a very large player base even after all of this time, seeing new players each and every day. One thing these new players will most likely never see in the foreseeable future, however, were the flourishing numbers of community-made servers that cropped up throughout the early years of TF2 prior to the Meet Your Match update, which was one of the major reasons for its downfall. Throughout these early years, servers hosted custom game modes for players to enjoy, such as the current set of modes we play today, like Versus Saxton Hale or Class Wars. During the peak of TF2, you had a wider selection of modes at your disposal, such as Prophunt, The Hidden, and even Smash Fortress. Nowadays, you'd be lucky to find a server with more than one person active at any given time due to lack of interest and lack of growth, since most new players probably aren't even aware of the community server tab. Today, I went on an expedition to look for a handful of these servers, hosting some of the old game modes to both relive and document what it was like to play on these servers back when they were populated. So before we begin discussing these elusive servers, thank you to the GLoWhNo consumer channel members in my Discord for helping make this possible. Link to the Discord in the description. So without further ado, let's get started. For our first game, we decided to take a look at Stop That Tank. This game mode pins two teams of robots against each other, where every once in a while you would become one of the large robots from MVM, as well as the Sentry Buster. While you and the team fight against each other, two payloads redesigned to be tanks from Man vs. Machine would be slowly moving along the track. The point of this game mode is to slow down the other team's tank by shooting it, whilst preventing the opposing team from shooting yours. When searching for this server, every single one was desolate, but after all of us joined, we actually managed to get one person to join afterwards, which was pretty cool. Now, I haven't played this game mode in forever, since it's very difficult to find populated servers, so it was pretty difficult to figure out how to play the video game properly. After a little bit, I ended up becoming a giant robot pyro and was later deleted as you'd expect. Then, I ended up becoming a sentry buster, destroyed a sentry, and then later had to play incredibly defensive as their tank was rapidly gaining height at the final checkpoint, which would ultimately end with our team losing. Now, since we really had experienced all this game mode has to offer, we decided to go get some more of the short ones out of the way. Heading on over to our next game mode, we decided to check out Balloon Race. This game mode, unlike Stop That Tank, is significantly older, as the first instance of this map was released in 2008, whilst Stop That Tank was released in 2015. Balloon Race is exactly what you'd expect. Two teams are in control of their respective ships. One person must maintain control of the wheel while trying not to get picked off by the enemy ship. If one were to step away from the wheel, however, the ship would stop moving, making it significantly harder to catch up. After a short distance has passed, you will eventually reach a control point that you will need to capture in order to continue moving forward. Whichever team captures the point first will receive a boost, sometimes leaving the enemy team in the dust. Unlike the other game modes we are going to be covering, this is the only map that doesn't rely on mods to function, as this map is all that is required. This map, unsurprisingly, is among the most dead of the maps, as the number of servers hosting this map are very few, with 0 active players across the servers that I had found. Now on to Smash Fortress 2. This mode is one of my personal favorites, as it brings both of my favorite games into one and executes it very well. Smash Fortress 2 works in a way so that when attacking enemies, rather than depleting their HP, it will instead, like Super Smash Bros., rack up percentage that the higher the number gets, the more knockback they will take, usually resulting in instant death. Now, scattered on the floor are also pickups, such as bullet bills, power stars, and even mushrooms. During our time playing on the server, we also managed to attract the attention of a few players, which was really cool because that shows if these game modes got the numbers they deserve, perhaps there would be more servers, giving more of an incentive to play on them. Unfortunately though, Smash Fortress 2, no matter how much I wish this weren't the case, is another dead game mode that even though you can perhaps find a game or two with a couple of players in it, you would have an easier time settling for a server with more players. The next game mode on this list is none other than The Hidden. You have no idea how difficult it was to find a server that hosted this game mode, but luckily for us, there was one server still hosting The Hidden for us to join. The only downside of this specific server was the fact that everyone in the server had incredibly high pings, causing issues when playing as the Hidden, but we still tried to have fun nonetheless. Before we discuss how things went, first let me explain what the Hidden is. Essentially, there are two teams. The red team, including all of the classes except for the spy and the pyro, and the blue team with one singular spy that has infinite cloak and has a limited amount of HP that slowly depletes the longer you go without getting a stab. The Hidden has a couple of abilities, one to super jump and the other one to stun enemies, just in case anyone is camping with their back to a corner. So, from the experience of replaying this classic of a game mode, I learned that the Hidden might be too far gone to be saved, considering not a single person attempted to join over the 30 minutes we played. But I gotta say, replaying the Hidden was incredibly fun, and I do hope that someday the Hidden can get the recognition it deserves and have more players experience it in the future. Now, this game mode is one I haven't heard of in a while. Parkour Fortress. Parkour Fortress, to my surprise, isn't as dead as I once thought. Looking for a server, I found a Steam group of people actively playing the game, but with seemingly very few numbers. The server I ended up joining already had a couple of players doing their thing on the map. Parkour Fortress as a game mode is obviously all about parkour. Designed after Mirror's Edge, in Parkour Fortress, your main goal is to traverse the map using movement options like wall climbs or wall runs to make your way through the map. At first, I was incredibly confused when I started playing, as I haven't played Parkour Fortress in like 9 years. Eventually though, I managed to get the hang of things, but I personally didn't enjoy it that much. Perhaps I just had a bad experience, but I did not stick around for too long. So, the consensus with this game mode is that it isn't necessarily fully dead, but it is definitely not thriving. This next game mode, I was debating whether or not I could consider it dead. I'm talking about Prophunt. Now, this game mode, I rarely see servers with anyone in them, but then again, it's Prophunt, and you'd think a game mode as popular as Prophunt would attract more players, but this is seemingly not the case. Out of all of the servers I searched for, there weren't any players in them, almost all of the time, but eventually, we bit the bullet and joined a random one. Now, Prophunt, for the unfamiliar, is a game mode where there is one team of posing scouts with the ability to transform into most of the props on the map. From barrels to trucks, you can become almost anything. Alongside the ability to transform, you will also have the ability to prop lock, which allows you to look around without your model spinning. Funnily enough, on some servers, you can prop lock in the air, and depending on which prop you choose, you can jump in the air and be completely invisible from the bottom. A strange feature I completely forgot about is when you last the longest out of your prop teammates, you gain access to your full scout loadout, allowing you to fight back against the pyros. This is kind of overpowered, considering your hitbox can be strange to hit depending on what prop you use. Now, onto the next game mode, we have Tower Defense. This game mode I haven't touched more than one time ever, since it's very difficult to pick up without proper guidance. Essentially, what I gained from my time spent on this game mode is that you are a team of engineers defending the end control point from the robot mercenaries. Randomly on the map, metal packs will spawn, allowing you to further upgrade your towers, or even allow you to purchase new ones on this wall. I would say this game mode in particular isn't completely dead just yet, as on more than one occasion, I joined a server with at least 3 people in it. Now, this may sound like a small number, but the player cap stops at 4, so this is still pretty good. Although there may be a few people who frequent these servers, I cannot say it is impossible to see why the game mode is so unpopular among TF2 players, as it is very difficult to pick up unless you have someone in the server who knows what they're doing. Now, these next few servers are among the most difficult to find since most of the time no servers were hosting these modes. For the first of these elusive game modes, we have Sandbox. Sandbox is essentially Garry's Mod in TF2, as you play on a custom map, either one of the default Garry's Mod maps, or on a completely different one chosen by the server owner. You have access to all sorts of different props with the ability to manipulate them however you like. But unfortunately, without players, it's not as fun as you'd think, since you'd find it more entertaining to just play Garry's Mod. The final mode of today's video is Fort Wars. I'd be lying if I said this game mode was not incredibly fun to play, as you can pretty much skybase if you want, or even just spam props all over the place like the other team did. course, this game mode also did not have many servers hosting it or many players. This was my first time actually playing Prop Wars, and learning how to play it was really interesting. Essentially, both teams have roughly 2 minutes to build a base of operations on their respective sides of the map, using money gained from kills. Eventually, the separation walls lower and you both gain access to the intelligence. In this mode, the team that holds the intelligence longest wins, so it's usually up to whoever can defend the best or whoever can evade the longest. For my time playing, I also noticed it is heavily geared towards the team with the most players, as the more players you have, the more props you can place down, since you'll have access to more money to buy the props, which was very apparent in most of the games we played. Now, that's the end of today's video. Getting to relive these old modes ended up being an incredibly fun experience. Although it is unlikely these modes will ever make a grand return, it is still nice to see that sometimes you can find a random server hidden deep within the community browser that is still hosting a game mode that hasn't been seen in years. Due to the scarcity of these game modes, I will also be providing a list of the server IPs that I went to so that if you want, you can check them out yourselves. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed. Also, another quick thank you to our amazing channel members for making this whole thing possible, and thank you to Floofy Goober Zach and Anita Cube for purchasing the GLoWhNo consumer membership tier.